Trainer Joe, you found us an article that is quite provocative. I think that's a decent word for it.
Good one.
It's slamming Christian diet culture. Well, guess what? Some would put you in that category. So, is this article slamming you, and do they have some points that you deserve to be slammed, and others
slamming us,
and just the larger Christian diet culture as a whole? Let's get into this, baby. I'm curious.
This is Jessica Gross. She's an opinion writer from New York Times. She says, our ever-present diet culture, once again, has a conservative Christian bent to it. Thinness has never been fully vanquished as the normative feminine ideal. It's like, if you really want to be a good conservative Christian,
that's the ideal.
You need to have this. You need to have this figured out.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Is this a risky article to respond to? I'm a little nervous.
Yeah. She sent out a letter to a bunch of people, asking why they moved away from organized religion. And apparently she knew who did or whatever. She said, why'd you do that? And a woman in her 60s from Virginia said that the inciting incident for her was when she was in college and a church told her that she was too fat to sing in their choir.
Whoa!
So she's making the points here. This is what's going on. How do you feel about it? In a minute, I'll tell you what they did at Oral Roberts University that goes along with this too. It's just all out there. What?
Okay, that this author would be very angry
a little
at.
Bit more of that. They're very angry at. So this is, I get it.
Wow.
You kind of see that too, what she's saying.
I see the angle she's coming from.
There is and you had the body positivity that was kind of a rejection of that. We're fine. We're happy. Please don't tell us that life's better if we lose weight. Please don't tell us that we're better if we lose weight. And I see where she's coming from that.
Yeah.
That place. So I reject so much of the cultural, kind of the anti-Christian views of it. Mm-hmm. To me, some of it is anti-Christian, not all of it, some of it is. But I also see on the side where they're coming from with things. It's kind of like, is my weight really determining my value in any way? Mm-hmm. And why would anybody say that? So I even say in my program, when you weigh yourself, it's telling you what you weigh, not what you're worth. I get that. But I think a lot of times it swings too far one way or the other. Fortunately, we have it just right.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You do an interesting...
We all think we have it just right, don't we?
You do an interesting job because I'm guessing, I haven't read the article, you have, that she would look at Trainer Joe and say, you're kind of in this sphere, you're part of the problem.
I'm who she's talking about. I'm sure of that.
And in other churches that,
Skinny talk. She mentioned the skinny talk.
She mentioned skinny talk,
right,
which is not a Christian thing, but
toxic
in her mind.
And there's a lot of Christians. You look at the influencers, a lot of them, fitness, health influencers, are going to at least proclaim Christianity.
Oh.
I think a large number of them would do that.
Well, that's interesting. I was going to say, I've have experience with a church in my past that I would say she'd be, if she knew of this church, would be including them in her article, where the pastor had he emphasized, hey, like, in my congregation, if you're obese, we need to deal with it. We need to deal with it. Like, we're going to take that very seriously. So that would be...
You had a pastor. Who did he say it to?
One of the congregants.
Wow.
He was trying to deal with it. And so, yeah.
That is not going to... So there is this visceral reaction.
Yeah.
By I'd say a pretty good percentage of people. I've told when I went and spoke at the church, the pastor really liked my program. He said, hey, I want to do this at my church, be part of our culture. And first day he had me take a few minutes and speak. And one of the ladies in the audience, she said, because I got to know her afterwards, she said, I was like, why is this fitness trainer, weight loss guy here? He doesn't belong in our church. I came here to hear the Bible.
These two things are separate.
These are just like church and state. I mean, I don't want to mix in your diet ideas, your weight loss thoughts, your opinions on this. I don't care, right? I'm here at church, and it's kind of like, is this in any way part of church? Should we have a total, you do not need to talk about these issues at church? There we are.
Ooh,
is it forbidden? Don't talk about, or is it?
Careful.
Sorry, or is it you can talk about it, but you have to do it in a very, very, very careful way as to not step over a line.
Yeah.
And when it comes to anything that the church says is wrong, you're going to offend some people.
What about this Oral Roberts University situation? just so we can get the full spectrum here.
In the 1970s, students at ORU, a private evangelical school, were subject to annual physical exams that included body fat measurements.
Interesting. Wow. Okay, so why?
If they were determined to be obese, they were automatically placed on a weight reduction program.
Whoa.
They meet with school doctors and sign a contract to lose a pound or two a week until they reach their goal. Now, this is not recent. I don't know if they have any of these now. It was in the 70s.
There's no way they could get away with that now. Not in a million years.
I don't think so. Not in a million years. Even a private college, right? They're like, we ain't touching this. I can't imagine either.
No.
That's the thing. The church now, any attempts to address your health, your weight in a church, what's that going to be met with? And is that right? Should it be totally separate? And I think that's interesting because in my program, some people will do it, and a lot of them went through it that had no inkling that it had a faith element to it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even purposefully put it in there in the beginning. And people would say, I didn't know this was a Christian-based program. And I'm like, how do you really separate these?
Even though this author of this opinion piece would be upset with you. Like, she'd go through your program and find things to be upset about. I think. Maybe that
sounds like it.
I think.
But it's always funny. We're usually closer to agreeing than it seems.
Sure.
So they pick one thing they hate you've said, and you're totally separate because of that.
What I was going to say is, I think you handle it pretty well. You do bring in scripture. You do compel people to live in true freedom, and that you eating whatever you want, however much you want, isn't true freedom. There's a better freedom. So you deal with these Christian concepts, but you also are very kind, and you're very clear that this does not determine your worth. If you're 100 pounds overweight, it does not determine your worth. Would you say that these maybe churches that she's specifically calling out don't do a good job of that? Or do they do an okay job and she's just got a bone to pick?
Can a church say anything and somebody like this not be upset about it? Anything about weight, anything about what we need to do to take care of our bodies, our physical bodies. Is this type, can I say this type of person, going to ever be okay with anything being brought up at a church to do with that?
She probably is not a big fan of church in general. Or maybe a certain type of church. That might be mean to say.
Well, yeah, I saw on TikTok somebody was responding to her on this too, and they said, she is a self-proclaimed kind of a moderate Jewish woman and it described her as like, no, she's not going to be. She's not going to church, evangelical church,
right?
Of any kind.
Probably very progressive.
Yeah. Yes.
Type of person. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the article?
Oh, I've got friends, a lot of pastors going through my group, and I'm always interested because I can see where somebody might think, Joe does tie in the spiritual piece to this, and I'm 100 pounds overweight. What does that mean for me in my spiritual walk? Anything, is it any indication of my spirituality? And that's where some people are going to go. And I loved when Curt went through the program and he did so good. And I knew he was going to be an example to other pastors, and he is. But he's so gracious. He's like, I'm not, when I interviewed him, he's like, I'm not here to beat up anybody, pastors, anybody else. This is not easy. And I love the way he addressed it. But he did say, but we need to address it. He was not like, this is not something we need to worry about.
How much did Curt lose in the...
85 pounds, fast.
And it was super fast.
Yeah, it was real fast.
4 or 5 months, 4 months, something like that.
I don't remember exactly, but it was 85. It's going to be less than 6.
Less than 6 months.
I think it was 5 months.
If this is a topic and you consider yourself a Christian and you're, like Trainer Joe just said, wondering how big of a deal is this for my spiritual walk, Pastor Curt video is so good.
Yeah, he nails it.
It's so good. We'll link that below. Highly encourage you to watch that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does a great job. He handles it well of showing both sides.
Yeah, and there was a big book years ago by Warren, the Daniel Plan.
Okay.
And she brings that up too and quotes from that.
The author of this article?
Yeah, the author of this article. She brings up Rick Warren and the Daniel Plan, and in that, we know that overeating is not just about willpower. Oh, she said with Ozempic and these drugs coming out, now we're learning more about obesity. And I'm like, when she said that, I'm like, I don't know that you're learning what you're saying. She said, we now know overeating is not just about willpower. I think we already knew that. Mm-hmm. As Blank put it in an opinion guest essay, the way the drug works can teach us that people who are larger did not necessarily choose to be, just as people who are smaller did not. I don't think that's really big news. And are not morally superior. So that's where she's like, you're morally, in her mind, the Christian diet culture says you're morally superior if you're thin. Is that a thing? Is that an issue? Do people believe that? Do you believe that? You believe somebody's morally superior?
Morally superior. Man, you really want to put me on the spot right here? Are you being serious right now?
I was kind of hoping you'd say no.
Well, here's if I'm being honest, here's my answer. If I go to a church and the pastor is obese, and there's lots of those churches. Sure. I look at that pastor and I say, like, he is probably... And then maybe I'll hear his sermon. I'll be like, that sermon was so good. Great. This pastor demonstrates so many amazing things.
Right.
But the fact that he's obese, to me, means there's something there that he hasn't dealt with. And it probably does carry over in some way to his moral disciplines or spiritual walk. And so it is a little bit of something that I have to get past.
Glad you said it. Thank you. It is. And... What honest Christian? What honest Christ follower is not going to agree with
a little something or a bigger something?
Plenty of them will say that's terrible. You shouldn't say that, but they really believe that too. I think they really believe that too. And does it mean you should treat them less than in any way, in any fashion? No. We as Christians should be gracious for one another in the struggles we have, including that one. Do you agree with that?
100%.
100%. That's okay, but. Like the one pastor said, but let's deal with it. And that's the thing. Let's deal with it. Who are you to say let's deal with it? We're whole people. We're physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, and we sometimes want to separate and say, don't bring that here. And I think as Curt said, I got to let God into every area of my life. And for a long time, this was not one that he really welcomed him into. Yeah. So I would just say, welcome God into this area of our lives. And when you welcome him into any area of your life, I think it's welcoming the church into some degree as well, because that's who we're interacting with. So it's going to be, I think it's inevitable, it's going to be a piece of it for us.
That's good. I'm curious from you guys in the comment section, have you, those of you who are Christians, experienced anything from maybe your church or a church you've been to in regards to health? Do you get a sense of how they think about it? Is it rubbed you the wrong way? Do you wish that actually churches would take it more seriously
and address it and offer programs with it, kind of like Oral Roberts had this program for the people? And do you think that drew some people in? Like, good, finally somebody's going to help me. Somebody cares about not just my grades. I mean, there's an element of people that would want that, wouldn't they?
Well, let us know. Yeah, what do you guys think about the Oral Roberts situation from the past and the way that they approached it? Because that is super interesting.
Yeah.
That's super interesting. We want to know your all's thoughts. I'm curious to read these comments. All right, guys. Until our next video, Train a Joe, train your brain.
And transform your body.